really the only way to get an understanding of the Citta is to see what it is not. And when you look at it, there's the world and then there's the Citta. And the Citta is one which has in it the kilesas, the defilements, greed, hate and delusion. And it also has Dhamma in it. And the two are kind of at war. Now, most of the time in the world, the kilesas are on top. They're the boss. But if a person practices hard, then the Dhamma can come on top, and the kilesas are being pushed down all the time. And it's possible in that way to get rid of them entirely. So when one asks what is the Citta, well, first we have to see what is the reality of the world. And if you look, this world seems to be very real. It appears to be real. We see it, we hear it, smell, taste, touch, the world like that. But then if you think, what we know about the world comes through the senses. And we can't know anything about the world that doesn't come through the senses. And when it comes through the senses, the information goes into us. Now, what nature the information is when it goes into us, we don't know. But all we know is that the organism here responds to it in the way that we see, in the way that we experience, like seeing and hearing and so on. But the seeing and hearing are almost certainly different from what's out there. I mean, if you look out there, there's electromagnetic radiation, and that is what we call light. And the eyes are sensitive to it, or the retina is. And the retina receives the focused radiation through the lens, and then the image at the back is transferred into a nervous code. And it goes back to the brain, and it is processed in the brain somehow, and then presented to us in a mysterious way. Now, when you look at that, it means that everything there that we see and know is in ourselves. We don't see it outside. We assume there's something there, but we don't know what it is. All we know is what our experience of it. And we can, I mean, really the whole of science is based on the interpretation of experience. And we interpret it, in science they try to get the things working according to cause and effect with some success. But really speaking, all the scientists can say is when they do something, that thing works. Yeah. They don't know really quite what they're doing, because everything we know is happening inside ourselves. It depends on the brain or the mind. Brain and mind are not quite the same. So when you see that the world's a pretty nebulous sort of place, you don't have to understand that the Citta is the reality. It's really the reverse of what we think. And the idea that the world is, the thing is that the world is a very nebulous place, and we don't really know what it is, and we've got no way of finding out. The only way is the senses, and the senses tell us something. They suggest that there's something there, but all we can say is it's in the nature of an influence. What this influence is, we don't know. It's a very strange situation, because it shows that the avijja, the ignorance, is deeply rooted in people. That the idea that this world is the absolute reality. deeply rooted. When it's like that, the Citta can be seen as quite something that one can really get at, because it's inside, part of one. It's fundamental to oneself, and it's something which is not sensory like the world. Because it's not sensory, in the normal way we can't see it, we can't hear it, because we can't get any indication of it. But one can come to know it by seeing what it does, seeing its actions. And it's a difficult thing to really understand, because it's something that people can't know about. It's not like the nitrogen in the air. We can't detect it except by chemical means. It's a sort of, that's quite a good analogy, because none of our senses can detect the nitrogen. We don't know it. So Citta is in fact the real thing. The Citta is the basis of life. It is life. The five khandhas, the body, five groups make up the body and mind. They're really part of the world, and they've obviously would have seen from the ideas of evolution that the organism has adapted the senses to the world. It takes the information from the world and it turns it into a form which is suitable to this organism. One can try taking one of the senses, probably sight or hearing is best, and trying to actually see that this is an internal thing. It's hard work. And when one gets some success, you get to see it, and then it's as though it's on a bit of elastic, and it flips back in the usual way. Because it's very strongly biased by your normal ways of understanding and thinking, seeing things. I don't know if that's clear or not. Probably not.
So, does the Citta continue when the body dies?
Yes. Citta doesn't die.
And the Citta, does the Citta moves on into the next birth with when there's I want to say the energy to do that, the craving.
Yes. It's a Citta that grasps. Grasps it.
Until it stops.
Takes it.
Until it stops grasping.
Yes, I shouldn't get rid of the grasping. But the grasping is there when there is any wanting, any attachment.
Right. Or wanting to get rid of.
Yes. And it can go, that grasping can take place into any of the realms, the different realms, higher ones, heavens and so on, or down into the lower ones, animals, hell, and the rest. But just depending on karma. And karma is always action coming from the Citta. Citta forms action. So you can see some of the characteristics of the Citta are volition, decision, knowing, things like that. They're directly qualities of the Citta.
So when teachers say things like the one who knows, they're talking about the Citta?
Yeah, the Citta, yes, always. But it may be the Citta maybe the Citta as part of the khandhas. The Citta can get into the khandhas. In fact, it's really the Citta that's all the time playing with the khandhas, and moving them about. And the Citta gets into there and becomes what we call vijnana, consciousness. And when it's consciousness, then it detects an object. It's not detecting the object, it just drops back into its own natural state. But most of the time objects are coming through the senses and it's detecting them all the time, so it's buzzing about all the time, picking up sensations. And in that sense it becomes almost part of the world then. And this, in other words, it's far from purity. It's not in a pure state at all. And the idea of Buddhism is to clean out the kilesas so that it'll drop back to purity. So it's not a natural state.
So the Citta is in its natural state when it's pure, and the kilesas are eliminated.
Yes, yeah, that's really the case, yes.
So, I know this might not be a question that has an answer, but when the Citta is pure,
yeah,
and the body dies, and I imagine then that the Citta goes into Nibbana. Is that how that works?
That is Nibbana.
That is Nibbana?
Yes. Really, there's nothing it goes into. It isn't going into it. It's that's the state, just there.
Yeah.
And that's what we should be, really. All of us. The thing that takes such a long time is the developing of the Citta to accept that this world is not what we think it is. That this world's not what we think it is.
Yeah.
It always sort of reverts to the world and always sort of jumps back. The fundamental way the Buddha taught them how to get out of the trouble is that of three sila, samadhi, pañña, and he taught really that sila is the first thing that must be there somewhere. It must be right, because that's the basis. And then one practices samadhi, and samadhi really is a mental training. It's a training to bring the mind up to a suitable state for the wisdom development, the pañña. And it's a mental training which it depends on the emotional stability of the person. If they're emotionally very stable, they don't need much of it. They can start developing wisdom quite easily. If they're unstable, they must develop the wisdom, the samadhi first, because that helps greatly. It helps to the person won't get into trouble then. If they try to develop the wisdom when the emotions are weak, it's poisonous, dangerous. People like that can go mad quite easily. No doubt. The thing that makes the emotions good or bad is really sila. Sila is the thing. People bad for sila got to develop samadhi first. If their sila is good, it's not so difficult, not so troublesome.
One thing I've noticed here at this monastery is the need to just accept sound.
Hmm. Yes, we've got the chicken.
Yeah, just don't make a problem out of it. Quite surprising at this branch monastery just down the road how just nothing.
Hmm.
Absolutely
Yes.
quiet.
Yeah. Oh, the chickens are very useful. They wake one up at night to practice samadhi.
Yes, they do. It's true. I haven't had to have an alarm clock at all while I've been here.
No, it's not really necessary.
Yeah.
Things I feel here like in my grandmother's place.
At home. It sounds like that perception you were talking about. We think the world is real. Hard to change that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People would say, oh, you can prove it's real. You can touch it.
Oh. Yeah.
They don't think very far there.
You were talking about seeing the Citta. How does one go about that?
Really by doing the practice, just doing the practice and going on with it. And one can learn to be mindful, and mindfulness leads in that direction.
Okay. How do you know when you see it?
You can't see it, you can know it, but you've got to search about. And really, the way to find the Citta is to search. What is it? You ask a question often. And after a time, one begins to get some answers. For example, you think of a time when one was very angry. Now you look at the force of that anger and see how strong it was. Where did that strength come from? It's easier to see in the bad examples, the bad things, than in good things. Because one knows something well enough, the bad things. And the tendencies of greed and hate, delusion as well, we don't see that so easily. The greed and the hate are very, they stand out. And the greed and the hate, they come from the Citta. In fact, in the book of the Abhidhamma, the Dhamma Sangani, it lists the different types of Citta and what's in them, the qualities that are in them. And you get the Citta with greed, the Citta with hate, Citta with delusion, also the Citta with metta, and the Citta with Pañña, like that. You get the three bad ones and the opposite. Citta.
So when one,
So
when a person experiences that sort of immense loving kindness, that's also the Citta.
Yes. Comes from the Citta. Yes.
Citta with metta.
The Citta is the source, and then the feeling is the reaction. It comes because of that. That's kusala, they say kusala, which means good. Good.
Before you said that the like the five khandhas is outside of the Citta. Did you say that, like the body and mind?
Yeah, they're not the Citta.
They're not the Citta.
No.
But like say in the Satipatthana Sutta, when it describes the investigating the Citta, how I think the language of the suttas it may be different than the way that you describe the Citta. Is that true?
Well, it's just rather like if you drive a car, you're not the car. You're the driver of the car. But the car depends on the driver. And the way it goes depends on the driver. And if he's a bit drunk, the car may go. But the car is just the car, it's just the mechanism. That's like the 5 khandhas. The driver is the Citta.
Okay, so there's...
Because the Citta has to involve itself with the 5 khandhas to make it do things. It never actually becomes a fire, it never becomes part of them, really.
Let's say in the Satipatthana, when you're investigating the mental aspect of the 5 khandhas, is the nama.
Yeah.
Then so that, and they call that the mind. But
yes.
when you're talking about the Citta, it's like my own language. I guess I'd call it like the pure mind, or somehow it's not the same.
Yeah, it's just a Citta. Citta is the best word. when it doesn't go wrong then. But the 5 khandhas, the body is the base. The other khandhas depend upon the body. For example, you get memory. Now, memory has to have a base. All the bits and pieces inside, which is the memory. That's the base. But the memory is not the base, not itself the base. In other words, when you think of something you've known in the past, what comes up is something that can't be seen as something in the brain. It's a bit like electronics, where you get an image coming up on the screen. Now that image is composed of dots, like that. It's only dots, but they're in a certain order. And as far as the khandhas are concerned, that's all there is. But when it comes to the Citta sees that as a picture. He knows that as a picture. He sees the picture, it sees some meaning behind it. And that's not the body. But it depends on the body. Like feeling. Really, all feeling terminates in the brain. The feeling sensations, or the feeling, the stimulation, nerve stimulation. It goes from the point to the brain, and it goes to a particular point in the brain, which is associated with that point there. So that when that point is excited, you feel it there. But the feeling is not really there. The feeling is internal. Feeling something that's associated with that point there. But it's inside.
And not really in the brain per se.
It's not the brain itself. No, the brain is the mechanism. That's like the sort of the black box in the computer. That's what does all the work. But the result of that isn't the black box. The result of that is what comes up on the screen and what one sees. And it's meaningful. Whereas if you just displayed all those ones and noughts, nobody would understand it except the eggheads. very important to see the difference between something and the cause of what that causes. Because the thing itself is not the cause, it's just the thing there. When it functions in a certain way, then you'll get that's the cause, and the effect comes from that.